It was a rainy Thursday evening in downtown Chicago. I had just clocked out from my shift at a local diner and was heading toward the subway station, earbuds in, mind numb from the monotony of the day. The cold wind cut through my hoodie, and the wet pavement made everything feel heavier, like life itself. That's when I saw her. She was sitting alone on the bench near the Blue Line platform. Her clothes, although soaked, looked expensive, not flashy, just clean-cut and classic. Her hair clung to her face, and her shoulders trembled slightly. At first, I thought she was just another person having a rough day, like the rest of us. But then she looked up. Her eyes were red from crying. Not the kind of tears people shed for losing a wallet or missing a train. No, these were the silent screams of someone trying to disappear. Something in me stopped. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the kindness my late mother raised me with. I walked over, took out my old iPhone, and asked gently. "Hey, do you need to call someone?" She hesitated for a moment, looked at the phone, then at me, as if weighing the risk. Then, slowly, she nodded. She dialed a number, then another, and another, all going to voicemail. After the third failed call, she handed me the phone back and whispered. "Thank you. I just didn't want to feel alone." I didn't pry. I just sat next to her quietly, offering what little shelter my presence could provide in that empty underground station. Over the next half hour, we talked, mostly about nothing. She told me her name was Elena, that she had walked away from her family mansion in Lake Forest that morning, leaving behind everything, credit cards, designer handbags, even her driver. "I didn't run away," she said, "I walked. Slowly. Deliberately. Because for the first time, I wanted to feel what freedom tastes like, even if it's cold and smells like wet concrete." I offered to buy her coffee from the corner stand. She refused politely, then paused and said, "Actually, that would be really nice." We sat at the diner where I worked, sharing pancakes at midnight. I didn't ask who she really was. I didn't Google her name. She was just someone who needed to breathe. 2 months later. I hadn't seen her since that night. I assumed she went back to her real life, maybe her parents called, or the police found her. Whatever the case, I was just the guy who lent her a phone and shared pancakes under flickering fluorescent lights. Then one morning, I got a letter. Handwritten. Cream-colored paper. Gold trim. I almost tossed it, thinking it was a wedding invite meant for the previous tenant. But the name on the envelope was mine, spelled perfectly. Inside was a short note. Asterisk, to the only person who saw me as a human, not a name, a fortune, or a scandal. You didn't ask for anything, and yet you gave me the freedom to choose my life. I've made a decision. I'm starting over, on my terms. And I want you to be part of it. Elena, asterisk. Along with the note was a business card, embossed with her full name. Elena Grace Whitmore, founder and chairwoman, Whitmore Ventures. Under it was another title, typed in smaller print. CEO, your name here. I stared at it for what felt like hours. 6 months later. That letter changed everything. Turns out, Elena wasn't just some heiress, she was the heiress. Daughter of real estate magnate Thomas Whitmore, whose net worth had been splashed across Forbes lists for years. But Elena had no interest in inheriting her father's kingdom, she wanted to build something different, a socially conscious investment firm that funded ethical startups, led by underdogs and overlooked geniuses. And she wanted me to help run it. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Me, a server, a college dropout who never even owned a proper suit. But she insisted. "What you did for me," she said in our first board meeting, "was the kind of leadership money can't buy, empathy, discretion, and courage." We started small, 3 people in a WeWork office. I learned, I studied, I failed, and I kept going. Elena mentored me, not as a boss, but as a partner. We funded tech for inner-city schools, a mobile clinic in Detroit, and even helped a refugee-run cafe in Portland scale nationwide. Now, 2 years later, I sign the paychecks. My name is etched on the office door. People call me, sir. But I still take the train home, carry the same worn backpack, and never forget that it all began with a rainy night, a broken-hearted girl, and a borrowed phone. Success doesn't come without noise, especially when your co-founder is Elena Whitmore. Within months of launching Whitmore Ventures, word began to spread. Not about what we were doing, but how we were doing it. Ethical investing in underserved communities wasn't just PR-friendly, it was working. Our portfolio grew. So did attention. Then came the first headline. Missing heiress re-emerges with new CEO, who is this mystery man? My photo, blurry, taken outside our office building in Chicago, was plastered under the headline. I was mid-laugh, probably talking to Elena. I remember staring at the image in disbelief. That face didn't look like the old me. It wasn't just a new haircut or the tailored blazer. It was something deeper, confidence, maybe. Purpose. But the article was less kind. They called me a nobody, a gamble, a media stunt. Some tabloids suggested I was her boyfriend, others claimed I had manipulated her when she was emotionally vulnerable. It hurt. Not because it made me doubt myself, but because it disrespected Elena. They reduced her decisions to emotion, and mine to luck. It felt like all our hard work was being questioned just because the world couldn't process an act of kindness without a hidden agenda. Elena stood firm. I chose you because you didn't ask for anything. Now, don't let their noise shake your voice, she told me one evening after a particularly harsh interview aired. We were on the rooftop of our new office, late summer, golden skyline, warm breeze brushing against our shoulders. She handed me a glass of sparkling water and clinked hers against mine. To inconvenient truths, she said with a small smile. I raised an eyebrow. You mean, like hiring a former diner server as CEO? No, she replied. Like choosing your own path, and sticking to it, even when it makes others uncomfortable. But the world doesn't like quiet revolutions. Soon, her father entered the picture. Thomas Whitmore had been quiet about Elena's disappearance, at least in the media. Privately, though, she told me he had sent private investigators, lawyers, even tried to freeze her trust fund. Elena, however, had already transferred everything she legally could into a separate entity, the one we co-founded. He requested a meeting. Elena agreed. She insisted I join. We met at a towering Manhattan skyscraper, his glass fortress above the clouds. The lobby alone probably cost more than my childhood home. I expected hostility. What I got was something worse, polite dismissal. Thomas shook my hand like I was a valet. So you're the boy, he said. CEO, Elena corrected sharply. He ignored her. The meeting wasn't a conversation, it was a warning. He offered to buy us out. Said he'd quietly absorb the company into one of his philanthropic arms and make sure we both landed comfortably. You've had your little project, he said to Elena. Now let's return to the real world. Elena leaned forward. No, Dad. This is the real world. You just haven't seen it. When he realized we wouldn't fold, his smile cracked. The real Thomas Whitmore appeared, proud, powerful, and furious. You'll regret this, he told me directly. I didn't reply. The next week was war. Sudden audits. Anonymous complaints. Our launch partners received pressure. Elena's name was dragged through gossip blogs. Whispers began about financial instability. My past, including a teenage shoplifting incident I'd long since atoned for, was splashed on forums and business pages. But something unexpected happened. Our team didn't scatter, they tightened ranks. The young analyst from Detroit stood up at a press conference and said, If a man who used to serve pancakes can now serve purpose, that's the kind of leadership I want to follow. A schoolteacher from Milwaukee, whose tech project we funded, posted a viral video saying, "These two believed in me when no one else would. Let them build. The world needs it." Suddenly, we weren't defending ourselves. We were representing something bigger. One evening, months into the chaos, Elena and I walked through an empty downtown street. The wind had picked up. She had just finished giving a TED Talk. One that went viral for her raw honesty about privilege, pressure, and her path. We didn't say much. Just walked. Then she stopped at a corner bench, a familiar one. "You know," she whispered, "I almost didn't take your phone that day." I glanced over. "Yeah." I thought. What if you want something? What if this is just another trap wrapped in kindness? She looked at me. "But you didn't ask. You just gave." I chuckled. Well, to be fair, it was an old phone. Cracked screen and all. She smiled. "Doesn't matter. It was freedom. And I never forgot that." She paused. "That's why, if anything ever happens to me, I want you to carry this forward. With or without my name." I was silent for a moment. "You planning to vanish again?" She shook her head. "No. I'm finally home." And in that moment, I realized something. This story was never about an heiress, or a runaway, or a poor boy who got lucky. It was about recognition. About someone seeing you. Without the noise of titles, pasts, or assumptions. That night in the subway, I thought I was helping a stranger. But the truth? She helped me first.